What's going on, folks? Back at you again with a review of some of the best, worst movies that you probably never want to see in your life. So I'm not gonna try to I'm gonna try not to be too long. So let's get to it. So the first one of these jewels we have Bloody Nun 2 The Curse. And you can see by this poster, this is going to be really, really scary. Not. So it starts off with the goofy looking dude holding the cell phone, and he's talking something about, he's doing some kind of podcast for his social media, talking about I guess, the stuff that happened in the first movie that I never knew existed. And then he decides to do one of those, Candyman like things, or, Bloody Mary like thing, stand up in a mirror holding your cell phone. So I guess in the modern time, your audience can see. And he says Bloody Nun 3 times, and he gets attacked by a bad special effect. Don't know whether or not it kills him or anything, but it cuts to another scene of a fat priest, and he's doing a video talking about his experience with the Bloody Nun. He also, in his experience, he actually sees the Bloody Nun, and again, it's this horrible effect with somebody dressed in a nun costume with fake looking Dracula teeth, but somehow he survives that, and he's giving us this video review. Then I guess the it was too much for him, the experience, and he commits suicide or whatever. Then it goes to the main plot, and the main plot is that you got the Bloody Nun, and you have these priests, and you have these guys at some kind of strip bachelor party, something. They didn't really make that clear how this involved one thing, involved the other, but it has a funny scene where you got like the only black guy in the movie. He comes in and he's like, LT's in the house. And that's the only thing you hear from this guy. So anyway, you got the guys, and you got this pimp priest bringing the strippers or whatever. And one of the guys goes into like the another room with a stripper, and she's giving the fakest looking blowjob ever seen on screen. And at this point, we're like 15, 20 minutes into the movie. Nothing remotely scary has happened. So anyway, she giving him this fake, blowjob, and her pimp calls her. She runs out. Then in step this fake looking unscary, ridiculous looking nun. And she kills the guy or whatever. But it's just, and again, it's not scary. The costume don't look scary. The nun holding the hook like she Candyman don't look scary. Nothing about this movie is scary. It's really difficult to watch. Now, I tell you this. If you want to put it on and you don't have anything to do, and you kind of like, struggling staying awake, this will put you to sleep, past the 25-minute mark. Because after that, I really don't know what else happens. It couldn't be anything good. So Bloody Nun 2 The Curse, unless you're looking for a movie that'll put you to sleep, don't mess with it. On to the next one. So, all right, this one we had House of Wax. You guys might be familiar with this. I remember it around 2005, 2006. I don't remember it coming out in theaters. I would always see it on DVDs, or maybe Netflix or anything like that. I don't remember it coming out on theaters. So I picked this poster just to show you that, hey, There's a black dude in this movie. Really don't get to do much outside of having sex scenes with Paris Hilton that really don't show you much in those. That's really the most he get to do in this movie. So the main poster you might see this poster. This is the poster they promoted with the movie with Paris Hilton, I guess, showing that she gets killed in the movie or whatever. And so the plot of this movie is like, you got this lady, she owns this house of wax, but she got these two kids. One seems really strangely normal, and the other one is obviously something wrong with this kid, because it starts off with her, working on some artwork for the house of wax. She got like one child. I'm assuming it's a girl, based on the shoes, because they don't show you what the either one of these kids look like. Feeding them Cheerios, eating this Cheerios. And you got the father suddenly brings in this other screaming, hollering child, and they got to force him and strap him into the sheet, and he's screaming and hollering and acting a fool. And somehow it causes her to drop her artwork, and then it flash forward. Then you got like these, young men and women going to some football game, and they decide to stop in the middle of the woods or whatever. Play a little football, get drunk. The breeze, blows through a horrible smell. But the main thing that happened at night is, some guy in a truck with his high beams on, flashing his high beams at them. And, black guy and the guy from Supernatural, you see in the, if you watch it from my view, it's the right corner. Right corner, you see the Supernatural guy. And below him, you see the guy who's the tough guy in this movie. And the black guy, they approach the guy in the truck. Hey, turn off your high beams and whatever. And the guy under the Supernatural guy throws a bottle and breaks one of the headlights, and the guy drives off. So in the morning time, they're getting ready to go to the football game, but the Supernatural guy's car, the fan belt breaks, so they need to get another fan belt. But at the same time, they get sent of that awful smell again. And the girl next to Paris Hilton is like, let's go investigate and find out what's making that smell. And so she does, she does that, and she ends up falling down into a pit of where somebody threw a bunch of old, dead roadkill. And that's the smell. And at the same time, another guy comes with a truck dumping more roadkill. And for some strange oddball reason, right? Instead of them all going to the football game and coming back and to get a fan belt for the guy's car, or him just staying with his car till they come back, him and Inspector Gadget Girl decides to take a ride with the strange, weird looking roadkill guy. He said, there's a town called Ambrose. Right up the road, is not too far. So, he takes them there. They get out, and they notice nobody ain't in the town. Fan belt shop is empty, but it's unlocked. So this fool could have just took the fan belt and went about his business. But no, they want to investigate further. Then they walk into a church, and church is in session. Maybe about 20 or 30 people in the church, but nobody turns around but just one guy. And that's strange in itself. If you usually open the door, everybody in the building turns around and looks at who opened the door. But in this case, only the one guy, and this guy happened to be, he does a lot of things. I guess he was the deputy, and he owned the fan belt shop and all that good stuff. And they find out later that he was the owner of the truck that they seen. But by the time they figured it out, a supernatural guy had to go use the bathroom, and he was after he uses the bathroom, right? He decides to do his own investigation in the house. He gets caught up, girlfriend outside. Guy end up putting him in wax or whatever. Again, it's nothing scary, and by the so this movie is configured so that the girl what's her name? I can't think of her name. The girl next to Paris Hilton and the guy next to her, they're sister and brothers in this movie. So it's built around them. So right away, or once you figure that out, because probably everybody else is going to die besides those two. We had like another comedy relief white guy who, he dies in a very stupid way. All these people, they die in stupid ways, doing stupid stuff. At this point, the Paris Hilton character and the black guy, they're again in the 10 That was the most of their scenes. They're either making out or talking about making out, and that's it. So of course, usually those are like throwaway characters in horror movies. They get killed. So it's mainly the two who are gonna survive are the sister and the brother, and the guy you see in the middle between the black guy and supernatural guy. From this thing, they obviously give it up that he's the killer, one of the maniac sons of the woman who owned the waxworks to begin with, House of Wax to begin with. And again, it's kind of watchable. You may see a couple of funny things, but the problem is this. When you watch a movie that's meant to be scary, you want to get that feel from the movie. You don't want to be getting the teenage, oh yeah, we're playing, and hey, you want to get something horrifying. You want the character to be somewhat smart, not just walking into danger, doing stupid stuff, because then you can't feel bad for them when they get killed. You feel bad for the smart person who get killed, or the person who get killed trying to help somebody else. You feel bad for them, but if the character is stupid and they get killed, you're like, well, yeah, they were stupid anyway, so whatever. It's watchable, but it's really not all that good. On to the next one. All right, we got an old school classic for anybody who cared about unscary TV movies from the 70s. So anyway, you have this movie called Satan's School for Girls. And on the platform I watch movies on, this will always pop up. I'm like, why are they recommending this movie? Besides the fact that you can see a young Cheryl Ladd and a young Kate Jackson. What else is this? What else to this movie is it? So anyway, I give it a chance. So it starts off, you got this young blonde driving frantically with a scared look on her face. So that part is good. You get people who can actually show fear in their acting. And this is back in 73, so they don't have cell phones, but they do have telephone booths, So she went to a phone booth. You try to call somebody, don't get them. And she's like, oh, she said she would be home. She would be home. She's not home. Then she sees some old bummish white guy about 70, and she gets really, really scared and jumps back in her car and drives off. And the old white guy's like, hey, what's her problem? That's the look he gives. So anyway, she goes to this apartment building, banging on the door. Oh, open the door, please. There's another old white guy comes. He gets scared of him. So I guess the villains of this movie might be old white guys or something like that. But anyway, it was the landlord, and she's actually at her sister's house, and he explained, hey, this your sister's apartment, but she stepped out for a minute. She actually stepped out and told me to give you these keys. So she looks real scared, but she eventually, gets the keys, goes inside the apartment. Then she seems relieved. She goes to the window. Then she feels something, turns around and starts screaming and hollering and screaming and hollering. And so by the time the sister get back, police is there. They bust in her apartment and show that her sister has hung herself. And so the sister, which is the lady with the short black hair, I guess her name is Pamela Franklin. She goes to investigate what happens to her sister. And I want to tell you, it gets more exciting than that, but not really. The only thing that really happens is that she talked to somebody who knew her sister. And once she tells that person that she's going to the school, the person's like, hey, whatever you do, please don't tell them that you talked to me. Don't tell them you talked to me. And it's like, well, yeah, you basically didn't tell her anything anyway, so I'm sure she's not going to bring that up. So she goes to the school and she figures it's best to enroll there than to just investigate and ask questions, which makes sense to a certain degree. Then after that, not anything really thrilling or exciting happens. It's just, to me, like another Bloody Nun, except that this is actually a real movie where they had a budget, but it's not really compelling or exciting. Again, besides seeing Kate Jackson and Cheryl Ladd, being young, is not much else to this, And lastly, we have The Devil's Tower. Now, I'm going to tell you, the best thing about The Devil's Tower is Jason Mewes of, Jay and Silent Bob fame. That's probably the best thing about this movie. But the plot is that the young lady with the axe, she's been in foster homes her whole life. So once she's old enough to go out on her own, they find her an apartment, and it happened to be an apartment that's haunted, but they really don't tell you that. But it's a shady looking apartment anyway. It's like, why would anybody send anybody here? But again, they never. It's one of those movies that it seemed to be something going on for a long time, but it only seemed to happen if the central character of the movie gets there. Then all this strange stuff really come to pass that was happening, but nobody else seemed to notice that it was going on and stuff, except they had this superintendent. Hey, you see anything strange, let me know. I'll take care of it. But again, it's just a bunch of people who live here and just do what they're doing. But the strange thing happened when she goes to her room. There's a old TV. Whenever you go to a room and there's an old TV, that old TV is haunted. It starts doing stuff, and that's one of the central things to the plot. You got the people that somebody seems to be watching on the other end of the TV, causing stuff to happen that didn't happen before this young lady moved into, but supposedly it had been happening. Even though beforehand everything seemed to just be a normal ran down apartment, all of a sudden it's a haunted Devil's Tower apartment after she moves in, which don't make any sense. So the villain in this happens to be like an old lady who died 5 to 10 years ago, and she's haunting the place because no one discovered that she died. No one discovers that she died, and she's just been sitting there in front of the TV. You know, so let's say this did happen. So you mean the landlord who you pay rent to is not gonna come up when the rent is due and you ain't paid it for 4 or 5 months? But you expecting us to believe that you just sit up there, a corpse watching the TV for 10 years and develop magical powers that'll turn people into mindless zombie killers and stuff like that. It's a ridiculous movie, but again, Jason Mewes is in it, and Jason Mewes, his part, they should have put him in the movie more because his parts were actually funny and made it watchable. Other than that, it's not watchable. And the plots and the device they use to scare people is not scary. And the whole thing about, okay, you've been here for 10 years doing this stuff. Why did none of this stuff happen before? It just happened. It just culminated when this woman out of foster care came to live there. Don't make sense. And overall, it just wasn't scary. So again, this concludes my review. And we're going to call this 4 movies you don't want to ever see in your life. Although I might change it with the title. We'll see. All right. Thank you. Thank you guys, you people, for checking this out. I'll be back again with something else for you. All right. Peace.